hot new sushi restaurant concept in Providence. And had that been Emma's Seaport townhome, with the wrought iron fireplace and a Joe Malone candle burning in the background? Good grief! How much was the firm paying her? When Sadie had worked for the group, she'd felt fortunate to afford the rent on a pokey South Boston studio. Her lips crooked up at the memory of her old place with its clawfoot tub and creaky floors. Even after a long day, Sadie would always stroll the 3 blocks down to M Street Beach to read a few chapters on a park bench. Ethan had asked her to marry him in that apartment, her back pressed against the Formica countertop, while he kneeled on the kitchen rug. She furrowed her brows. If Ethan had proposed 2.5 years ago, that meant she'd been gone from the firm for how long now? 2 years? Yep, almost to the day. Just then, her boob buzzed. Tugging her phone back out, Ethan's name appeared on her screen. "Honey, hi!" Sadie instinctively smoothed a hand over her messy bun. Down the hall, Lincoln hopped from foot to foot, motioning for her to join him. Was it worth telling her husband that his first-floor office might have sprung a leak? A Lincoln-sized leak. "How'd your meeting go?"
"Mommy, I say come see this silly peepee,"
Lincoln called.
"I still get M&M?"
She'd gobbled the last of the potty training treats for breakfast. Oops. "Sore subject," Ethan groaned. "The meeting was a bust." Her husband was currently splitting time between his remote home office in Maine and his company's corporate headquarters in Boston. The fall and holidays had gone fine, with Ethan only making the trip a handful of times. Unfortunately, with January's arrival came a slew of reasons for Ethan to be on site. At this point, he was traveling to Boston every week, often for days at a time. Not the plan they'd made when deciding to relocate. What a bummer. You were so excited about the presentation. Sadie racked her brain, unable to recall exactly what he'd been working on this month. He was a hustler, eternally developing new products for his tech company. His can-do attitude, the reason why he'd scrambled up the corporate ladder, impressing managers at every level. That was until his recent boss. "Marlowe stood me up." She could hear the exasperation in his voice and clearly pictured the hand he must be raking through his wavy brown hair. "Turns out the bastard ditched our one-on-one to take a client to Palm Beach on the company jet." Sadie had a mental flash about being whisked away on a Gulf Stream, sipping a mimosa and nibbling a cheese plate, before blinking back to reality. That sucks. But he probably acts like this because he's threatened by your talent. "You think?" Ethan didn't sound so sure. "I know." She frowned at her Fitbit watch. 10:15 already? Seriously? Where had the morning gone? Look, it's either that, or he has an asshole gene. His ancestors probably burned witches or took part in the Spanish Inquisition. Ethan chuckled, and Sadie smiled at the receiver. She hadn't made her husband laugh much lately, and the infectious rumble swelled her heart. Unfortunately, they'd have to reconnect tonight. She still had to uncover Lincoln's pee and hightail him to his 2-year checkup that was in 15 minutes at the Coastal Kids Medical Group. "Hey, tell you what. Let's pick this back up when you get home," she said in her most soothing tone, just as Lincoln crashed into her knees. "Whoa, bud! Crap! That hurt!" She yanked her toddler back with a gasp. He'd been out of her sight for what? 3 minutes? And in that time, he'd managed to unearth her favorite lipstick and cover his chest in red streaks. He'd even pulled off a Jackson Pollock-inspired art scene over the foyer's creamy damask wallpaper. That's it. They might as well move to a barn. "Lincoln, no! Bad! Bad, bad, bad!" Her low-grade headache ratcheted up a notch.